Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Billy Watson TV. Tonight, I'm very delighted to have Mandy McChonechy on the show. Is that how you say it? Yeah,
Is
McChonechy.
how you say it. Yes, thank you.
Great. And yeah, I think we exchanged messages on YouTube before we actually met, and then we met at a protest meeting in Edinburgh. Oh, we kind of said hello to each other. But I've been aware of your work online. I've kept up to date with your YouTube channel and your posts on Facebook. So well done for the work you're doing. But before we get into all that kind of stuff, would you like to give us a little bit of background to yourself, Mandy, kind of where you grew up and how you got to this position and being a freedom fighter?
Well, I was born in Ayr, so I've kind of been airborne in bed. I was here all my life until 30-ish. I was completely in the system. Government wouldn't do anything bad to us. I've never had bad credit, never had a debt. Everything as it should be. Perfect little citizen. And then,
It's the right word as well.
hey?
That's the correct word as well. Citizen.
Exactly. I was the perfect citizen. And something happened, and I don't know what it was, but I gave up everything. And I moved to France, and I went and lived in a hostel in a ski resort. And in the process of doing that for 4 or 5 years, I met all sorts of weird people that were like different and had different views, and they were doing things like taking drugs, and I was this little innocent person going, "There's all this. I was told that drugs kill you. They're taking drugs and they're alive the day after."
What happened? I used to go down to raves at Air Pavilion when I was 19 and get fucked with my face in ecstasy. How did you miss drugs in there?
Well, it was shut. By the time I was going out, that was all shut.
All right, okay.
And I had a very innocent upbringing, and it was alcohol and alcohol only. I started smoking a wee bit weed in uni, and I was offered all the drugs under the sun when I was at uni, and I was just like, no, drugs will kill you. And then, I don't know, I didn't get in the best mental state ever one time, and then I was like, do you know what? Fuck it, you're all doing it. Let me have a shot at that. And I woke up the next morning, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm alive. What?
So you tried to commit suicide. It was that bad?
Well, I wasn't setting out to kill myself, but you know, we do silly things when we're drinking, and it seemed like a good idea at the time. And I was like, well, wait a minute. And then that was the first shattering of the illusion.
So what drug was it you took that night then?
Oh, I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you. It was either
MDMA something stronger than weed, something like a hardcore drug.
Yeah, like an actual hardcore drug. But you know, we all experiment. And I think that I had to do all these things because it was like fireworks set off in my brain. A few days later, I was like, and I would realize something that had been a massive lie all my life, and I'd be like, holy crap, how can I not have seen that? And then I when I was young, I had a lot of alopecia. Like most of my hair wasn't. I was bald basically, and I had.
I think that's why you grow it now, just to hang on to it.
Oh, now it's like an absolute rope. I don't know what was going on. I think it was emotional. Surprise. But I had this one bit at the back of my hair, and it would never grow in, and then I decided again. It was another thing that was totally against everything that I knew and I was taught to do or not do. I went and I got a tattoo, and my hair grew in. And I was like, that was really weird. And I started doing all this research about skin and hair, and there was still another bit that wouldn't grow in. And I came across this stuff about food. And it was like, your food can affect your hair growth and your food can affect your skin. And I was like, what?
What an amazing concept.
Yeah. How can that be connected? And then it's just gone on. I ended up basically crippled. In 2017, I had like such a bad back. I'd been all around the world skiing and then gave that up and started doing, I was a scuba diving instructor, gave that up, had a bad back, couldn't do anything, lay on the sofa for what seemed like years. It was probably about 8 months, couldn't walk, couldn't get up, couldn't do anything.
And was the doctors and that looking at you and telling you what was wrong?
I had seen a doctor in Glasgow, a surgeon in Glasgow, who'd said I had a herniated L4-5, and it wasn't operable. It wasn't at that stage, and I would just have to bear that pain until it stopped. And I was like, fab. So I was dosing up on all the painkillers all the time, codeine, morphine, everything, just at it, just to try and manage the pain. And then I went to see this guy to do Pilates, apparently, and it was just, he said, no, you're broken. Lie down there on this couch. And he did all this really weird stuff. He did muscle tests, and he did stuff. And I got up an hour later, I put my feet on the ground, and I stood up straight, and I was like, what the hell have you just done? That is incredible. Like, from
have you got that guy's number? Because I've got a sore back now.
Well, I then ended up going and studying that. That's what I do now outside freedom fighting. But it was part of my journey, because learning even everything we're taught about pain is wrong. Like, pain is produced by the brain to protect the body. It's the only reason, and movement limitations. So I've worked with people who they've been told by surgeons and specialists, you will not move that arm again. We'll just put you on disability benefits, change your job, because that's it. We can't get your arm working. Have some more medication. And then I've gone and worked with them, and within 10 minutes, I've had their arm going up and down like this.
How?
Well, because it's all about how the brain talks to the bits of the body. This girl in particular, she had a car accident, and she had a whiplash and hit the back of her head. And it was the impact on the back of the head. That area was telling the brain, I've got a problem. And so the brain was doing things like, we've got so many muscles around our head and our face and stuff we don't realize. And inside, we've got all the stuff, the dura, and it was changing stuff, and it was compressing a nerve that comes out of the head and goes down the neck to the shoulder. And so the nerve compression had turned off all the muscles. So they didn't work. So I treated the trauma there and got that area to tell the brain, I'm okay again, right? It's okay. I realized that I've not got this trauma anymore. It's okay. And the brain changed what it was doing inside, released all these muscles that were stuck and not moving, and it allowed them to start relaxing and contracting again.
But how do you manage to do that? Just through massage?
Muscle testing and talking to the nerve endings. It's like you've got, well, you know, if you hurt yourself, you'll do one of two things, won't you? You'll go, oh, that really hurt, and you'll rub it, or you'll press it, and you'll maybe press it with two hands, and you're like, whoa, yeah. And that's because there's two different types of nerve receptors, basically. There's three types. There's these two, and the way we make them feel better is by either compressing or rubbing. So I start my therapy by a muscle test all around the body, and then say I'm holding this muscle testing it. If I was to rub the head and then the arm was to drop, it would mean that the rubbing had changed something. It's changed something, so there's something there, because if there wasn't a dysfunction there, the rubbing wouldn't have any effect.
Yeah.
So if the rubbing doesn't have an effect, I then press. And then if that makes it drop, I know it's a different type of nerve ending. And so
I have done muscle testing before for something else, so it's quite weird that you're trying to hold your arm, but in a certain way you can't do it.
Theology uses it as well, and there's quite a lot of energetic stuff. People use it.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So basically, if I come to you with my sore back and hip, you're going to massage my head and I'll be magic.
It depends. It depends.
I want to like there's different things.
It's all past trauma, yeah. To me, everything is from a past trauma. So, like, if I broke my leg when I was a baby, but at 37, my brain was still reacting to any time there was a sound near the break, because we have a pain pathway related to sound.
Oh yeah.
And every time we break a bone, our brain knows that it made a noise there. So every time our brain hears a noise in that area, it goes, alert, you might just have broken your leg.
Yeah. So it's like an anchor, you know.
It's like, these weird random pain you'll get once in a month, and it's like, oh, there you are again, but I don't feel you very often, but you come and you're like, oh,
Right.
and then you go away. That's that kind of thing. It's like you've stimulated an old injury or something with sound, or you've looked at it. We've got so many pain pathways, it's untrue, but that's what I do, is I help people with their pain and mobility problems. And that was what, it just changed everything, because if you can muscle test, you can muscle test anything. So you can put sugar on your tongue and muscle test, then you can put sweetener on your tongue and muscle test. And if you put sweetener on people's tongues, they'll go weak all day long because it's a neurotoxin. And then in Scotland, why don't we put a sugar tax on, right? We'll take all the sugar away and we'll put all this neurotoxin inside everything instead, okay? And it's for your safety, guys, yeah? For your health.
Yeah, everything's upside down in this reality, yeah?
Yeah.
So basically, you're in France and you met all these people, and then your brain started waking up. Things you hadn't seen before were suddenly becoming clear. And then what happened after that? Did you go down? Did you just get into conspiracy theories, or did you go health research, or what kind of was the main attraction to begin with?
It was all health. It was health and emotional healing. Right. And then I met a conspiracy theorist. I met a friend of my ex's who was a conspiracy theorist. I was like, wow. And I learned so much more, but it's stuff you can see yourself. Not, someone says this and it's a story. It's to go out and see it for yourself, do the research and test it for yourself. And to me, that's where everything needs to be. And that's even with all where we're at now and all the other stuff, we need to be learning stuff and taking action, not sitting waiting for someone else to do it and show us and do it for us. So I met a conspiracy theorist. And then I kind of became a conspiracy theorist.
Oh my God.
And then I got arrested just over a year ago at Holyrood on the 11th of January. And that was when I was like, right, no, fuck this shit. Like,
so what happened on that day?
I went up to go to the march. It was on, but I was late and wandered down, just having a look. And I was walking past the police, eating my sandwich, and she like jumped 6 feet in front of me and was like, "Stop! You can't be here."
Right.
Just walking, eating a sandwich. Why can't I be here? And I wouldn't give her my name and all this. And it ended up.
Do you think she picked on you personally? Do you think they knew who you were, or just she felt like having a go at someone?
I've no idea. I think if they had any idea who I was, they wouldn't have touched me with a barge pole.
Right, okay.
I'm like so obstinate and pig-headed, and I'll never back down.
So you never gave your name, and then what happened after that?
Well, they kept me in the police station for 2 nights, because the first night they took me off the court register because I was kicking off because I wanted water.
Okay, it's not an unreasonable request, is it?
At 4 o'clock or something in the morning, in the middle of the night, I didn't jump up from my sleep and run to the door to get my glass of water, so he took it away.
All right.
And I was like that. I want my water. I want my water. I want my water. Kicking the door. I was like, I want my water. Besides that, I was like, it's the only thing I did the whole time. The rest of the time, all I did was like, I did meditated and did yoga and stuff. Like, you will not see that you have annoyed me in the slightest. I'm going to be super chill, slept.
You may have imprisoned my body, but you can't touch my spirit.
Exactly. And then I got sent to court and bail for a night. Okay. And then I was told I was in there for another night, and I don't know, God got me out somehow. And so
basically you didn't give the name or any details and kept speaking.
I gave my name eventually after 2 nights in the police station. I met a duty solicitor and he said I had to give my name, and the Naked Rambler was still in jail because he hadn't given his name, which isn't true. I since found out. And I gave my name. I felt all of a sudden I was like, I have to get out of this police station. I can't be in this police station. I can be anywhere else, but not in here anymore. I've got to get out.
Right.
And so off I went to jail.
So did you take any action for that? Did you say they trespassed against you, or did you just let that slide?
I've done a complaint, but they've still not heard my case. It was due to be heard for the second time on the 12th of January, and they put it off another 6 months.
All right. So had you prepared anything for that?
I've got a lawyer that's dealing with it. If I was where I was now, I would go and represent myself, because they probably won't even call the case. But as it is, I'm going with a lawyer, and there's not been a single case in Scotland. I had this on an FOI myself. In Scotland, through the judiciary system, the only people who have been found guilty are people who have pled guilty.
Yeah.
Who basically, for coronavirus restrictions.
Yeah,
basically, it's been something like me. They've been arrested. They've got the duty solicitor, and he's gone, you have to plead guilty because blah, 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 blah. And they've taken the solicitor's word and pled guilty.
Yep.
Nobody who's pled not guilty has I don't know if they've been tried, but they've not been found. They've been acquitted.
Yeah, they can't enforce the act. Unless you basically consent to it and basically sign it. When you take your solicitor's advice or working for the bar, you just sign your own criminal conviction.
Well, the ball. It's all play on words. Bar, ball.
Yeah.
It's all one.
I liked your video you made about Auld Lang Syne, some of the words in that, and how it's not the great song that we think it is to sing at New Year. We're all crossing our arms and doing Freemasonic rituals.
Isn't it mad? But yeah, it happens everywhere, everything. In diving, that's okay. That's your standard procedure. You're doing it the whole time through the dive. You're constantly signaling, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? I'm okay. Are you okay?
I'm a qualified scuba diver myself.
Yeah.
I got an advanced paddy when 10 days in the Maldives. It was pretty good.
Oh, it's amazing over there.
You've been there, eh?
Yeah, I went there on my honeymoon, and it was incredible.
It's pretty phenomenal. So
it's some of the best diving.
Actually, I took voluntary redundancy from my work, and they gave me £1,000 to retrain. So with the money with redundancy, I went to the Maldives, and I paid for the training £800, and then told the work to give me the money because I was going to train as a scuba diver instructor.
Fantastic.
They became a legend at the work. I should have actually got an HGV license and got a new job, but anyway.
Oh, I bet you had a blast though.
Yeah, it was incredible. They've seen sharks and that swimming around you. They said that these sharks only have killed people in the southern hemisphere, but not in the northern. And when you see them swim past, you go, well, this could be the first time,
Oh, I love sharks. They're amazing. They're just so amazing.
I wouldn't like to get too close to a big hungry one, though.
No.
But in the main, humans cause them a lot more grief than they cause us. So they get a bad rep.
Oh, they don't even like the taste of human.
Aye. So anyway, so you're finding it about health. So you've also got down in the air, you've got horses and stuff. Have you had them a long time? Has that been part of your life growing up, or?
I got a couple of ponies when I was in my teens. My grandfather had because he was Norwegian, and he'd brought over these kind of driving carriage ponies from Norway. That were a specific breed. They've got a cool, funky mane that's like a wee mohawk. And I was getting too old to look after them, so I got given them. And then I actually got quite into the horses, and I ended up doing a bit of competing. I rode a bit for Scotland a couple of times. But as I said, I got to about 2012, and my mind was gone. I couldn't do it anymore.
All right.
I was just so angry, and wasn't happy. That way you're doing something, you're doing it because that's what you do.
Yeah.
But you've fallen out of love with it, and you want to do something else, but you can't. And you keep telling yourself you can't, and then you just end up unhappier and unhappier until you go, fuck it.
There's no other option, basically, because your soul's telling you it's time for a change.
Yeah. So I've always been really sporty, though. And then, it was just coming back to Scotland. It's like a lot of us, we've all ended up coming back to Scotland when we didn't really plan to or want to. And now we're here, and I ended up going, oh, well, I've been working with the horses a lot as well with my therapy, and I was enjoying being around them again. So I ended up getting a couple during lockdown, and I'm back into the horses. So it's great. It's really good. I learned so much from them, and I do a lot of work on the animals, and they teach me so much.
Some people claim they can talk to horses and animals and stuff like that. Do you try and communicate with them telepathically or anything like that?
I'm open to messages from them. I don't set out to telepathically communicate with them, but I know that we all have like the auras, and if I'm beside them, we're all crossing. And I do seem to have a knack of just feeling or knowing what they need or want, but I'm not setting out to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously the animals do have their way of communicating. It's up to us to kind of tune into that, you know. We're kind of just blind to a lot of stuff. Even the fact that in the supermarket, the beef is, we call it beef instead of cow's ass, you know. So it kind of hides the reality. A lot of people are not seeing things very clearly because they've got a lot of emotional trauma going on. I think a large reason that people are not living in the moment and being clear with their perceptions is because they've got so much emotional baggage and crap stored in us. Have you done any kind of healing in yourself to, you know, overcome difficulties that you had? Because I've done a lot of work.
I'm always at it. Always at it. It's quite funny. You reminded me there. I've just had my first foray into eating oxtail.
Okay.
And it was there was the mental barrier of it's called ox tail.
Yeah.
There was a mental barrier, and I'm like, that. What's this going to taste like? It's really like somehow weirdly mentally, I was going, it's really near the asshole. Is it? What's it going to be like? It was amazing. It was absolutely incredible.
All right.
But yeah, life is all about, we have to be emotionally healing just now. It's just what we've got to be doing, because every time we're triggered and then we go and erupt at the person, it's not them that's making us feel like this. We've felt like that before. We've all felt like that before, because it all comes from, most of it comes from our first 7 years of life. So we bring people into our life, like say your dad beat you up, for example. Then you would go out and you would make a friend who had eyes like your dad or mannerisms like your dad or something, because it's going to trigger you eventually inside to hopefully do the work and go, right, why are you annoying me? Because I like you, but why are you annoying me? Rather than what we've been taught to do by all the programming, which is to blame someone. You make me feel like this, so it's your fault.
Yeah.
You did that, so you should stop doing that, because when you do that, it annoys me.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe a lot of what we say, we're actually talking to ourselves when we're pointing outside of ourselves. You know, there used to be a couple of huge fat guys at my work, and when these day shift maintenance went past, they used to go, fucking look at them, lazy bastards, never done a day's work in their lives.
Yeah. So, if you listen to people, they'll tell you everything about themselves.
Aye.
Because that's what we're constantly doing, is judging people to what we feel about ourselves.
What do you mean by that?
Well, so for example, my inner monologue to myself was, oh, that was shit, do that. I can't believe you just did that. You're such a stupid idiot. Like, what the actual fuck? You're such a letdown. You can't do anything right. But when I met people, that was what I felt from them. And I'd be like, God, this person can't do anything right. They can't do their job. They're leaving all their stuff for me to do. I have to do everything around here.
Yeah.
And it wasn't them, because other people would experience them differently.
Yeah.
It was me. And that was all the stuff I had to heal. But now, if I hear myself go, oh, you're an idiot, I'm like that, oh, I'm an idiot, right? Okay, well, why am I an idiot? Or if I think someone's an idiot, I'm like, right, why am I being an idiot? And I'm like, the first thing that comes to my mind, I then go and do it. So, like, say I've maybe not ridden the horses for a couple of days, and someone comes and they're like, oh, for crying out loud, can't do anything properly. Right, what am I not doing properly? I'm not exercising my horses properly. If I go and ride my horses, I won't then judge that person as being an idiot because I'm taking away the bit where I'm chastising myself.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I think meditation and things like that can help you be aware of your own thoughts. A lot of people think that voice is them and they don't really listen to themselves. So you've got that awareness to catch yourself when you do talk negatively. You know, it's quite important. I just watched a film with my son. He was kind of struggling a bit. I think with the lockdown and, you know, the shit that's went on, lots of teenagers committing suicide and stuff.
It's awful.
It was a tragic event in Bathgate yesterday. Actually, Emma's dad told her to go and check it out because something was happening. And she turned up just as his young body was getting covered up and taken in the back of an ambulance. Turns out a 13-year-old boy committed suicide. So when my son, I could see him down, and obviously I'm worried about this, so I'm having a chat with him. I ended up watching this movie, The Peaceful Warrior, because I've got a book, Dan Millman. It's got a really good website about healing. But just watching that, it was like he could get some advice from somebody wise, and it was very good for young people. I would recommend watching it because he's changed after it. He realizes that he has to work on himself, and there's maybe people with some wisdom, and you know, it's not all about this ego mind. It's very good for making young people kind of see maybe worth listening to some older folk, because now I've got him watching some Richard Bandler NLP and some other people. I've actually done the NLP with Richard Bandler, so I was telling him the story of me with that, and then that got him interested, so I shared some. And now he's trying to make a daily practice of working on himself, you know, because a lot of young people don't really see that, you know. It took me till I was fucked up about 25 and done lots of damage to myself to think I better go and do the Salisbury Centre in Edinburgh and start meditating, you know.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's the same thing. I didn't know what the emotional trauma was a thing. And my mum still says to me, "Oh, Mandy, I don't know how you may have so many emotional traumas because I have none." And it's like, that's exactly where most people are. People just don't, we're not emotional traumas. The doctor, that you're either mad and needing psychiatric care or you're not.
Yeah, definitely. I've done a 10-day course in Devon called Body Electronics, where you've done this way to release suppressed emotions in your DNA through point holding. And after doing that, and after 10 days, it was incredible. Especially last day, there was this emotion leaving me that I couldn't put a name on, because it went beyond pain, depression, and these levels to like deep-rooted, hardcore. It's called the triple axis at this point in here, and tears were rolling down my face for 3 hours while this pain was coming at me, and it was mad. But after that, I felt so light, and it's like cool. Third eye was kind of getting cleaned, you know, because then you realise that everyone's carrying so much weight from their youth and their oppression from teachers and all the people trying to, and you've not been able to speak out, so you're holding that in, that gets stored in your DNA. And you have more empathy for people when you realise they're carrying all this shit, you know. This is really, really hard stuff. If we ever do get rid of the Illuminati and stuff, we have to then actually go through a whole process of healing ourselves so we can all be the best version of ourselves, you know, because
that's what it's about, yeah. I thought I was the only one that felt like that when I was like that, and I thought I'm abnormal. This is me. And when I did all this healing, now I can see it wasn't me; it's everybody.
Yeah. Oh, aye, definitely. Everyone is unescapable. It's part of modern life that we're all. Lots of people, they've never took the time to work on themselves, so they're full of shit, literally, that has to, you know, get dealt with. And it's not by going to a psychiatrist and kind of talking about it on the couch for hours. You know, there's quite quick methods and different forms of healing that people can look into. That's
part of why I always bring in emotional stuff, is to give people an awareness, because I can show people they can think about something emotionally and it can make everything in their body weak. Okay, so it's a really powerful tool to make people go, like, you just don't think about it.
There's such a link between the mind and the body, basically. You know, it's not just separate things. We are a whole being. This is why you can't look at isolated parts of the body and say that's that disease and that's caused that. We're actually a whole spiritual being, and, you know, it's the thoughts are connected to the body very much. So even just if you look at somebody, you can tell all the time what they're thinking. You know, they're angry or kind of sat just by the face without them, you know, trying to express
what's happening inside with some of them. the adrenals. We've got our adrenals, and they're really important to everything. And they're the only thing that basically there's no medicine for them until they've failed. And then when they failed, they've got medicine for them. But when they fail, you go into like, you can't get happy anymore because they're to do with producing the happy hormone. But our adrenals, if they're not working properly, there's a very particular stance people take with their legs. And it's this, you see people, they stand and they've got the bottom leg bent out to the outside.
Okay.
That's somebody who's having adrenal problem.
And what's an adrenal problem? How's that caused?
It's food. It's everything. It's breathing in stuff they're spraying on you. It's eating stuff that's got stuff sprayed on it. It's eating stuff that you've got an intolerance to. Most people are intolerant to lactose and gluten because of the GMOs. It's everything. Everything that they are doing to us is stimulating our adrenals.
Okay.
And
well, there's certainly a war against us on every level, so I didn't know. There's certainly a war against us on every level in food, Even you say the fresh fruit and vegetables, apparently they've got shit on them as well. So
well, when I was at my worst, I was staying in Spain at that point, and in Spain, the supermarket workers, they all wear gloves to handle the fruit and veg all the time. And I started noticing that I felt so much worse after I'd been in the supermarket, and I wasn't far from adrenal fatigue. So it was like, if I touched anything that was bad, I would be like, ugh, and massive fatigue and stuff. And so I was noticing that I was touching the veg and I was just getting really sweaty and I couldn't cope with picking up produce. I was at the stage of washing it all in salt and vinegar and stuff and soaking it, because then it made it that I could eat it. It's mad. I was having to peel things like kiwis, so I wasn't having the outside of it, but I could eat the flesh.
But just that shows you, though, because you were at that sensitive level, that just shows you the difference between washing it and not washing it, because you took those measures and then were able to do it. So there's definitely something that's not good for us there.
Yeah, definitely. But I think it's like we have a tolerance level. So 20 years ago, say our tolerance is that, 20 years ago, we'd have been sitting as a baseline here.
Yeah.
But now we've got all the extra stuff being sprayed. We've got all the extra stuff in the food. Everything's been ramped up so much. So our baseline's maybe here.
Yeah.
And then all it takes is a little bit of food that's not good for us, or an emotional argument with our partner, and we get popped right up over the scale and the adrenals are firing like mad and we can't sleep and we're shaking and we're sweating.
You've got COVID. Now that's what they'll say, basically. Well, I don't like the immune system because we don't have antibodies to protect us from an imaginary virus, but we do have a health system that works like that, and does protect us.
Well, the adrenals are very central to the health system.
Yeah.
And if they're not working properly, because they're to do with all the hormone production.
Yeah.
And if you've got your wakey hormones going off as you want to go to sleep, you're not going to sleep properly.
Yeah. So how do we take care of our adrenals then? How do we is there a cleansing or something you can do to kind of get rid of these?
You need to find the things that are making them fire. You need to find the things that are making you, like, if you eat something and then you feel really tired afterwards, that food's not good for you. You should feel energized by food. You should eat something and then you should be like, oh, I feel great. I could go for a walk now. Not, oh my God, I need to lie and watch a TV program and sleep.
But I think that's what most food in the market is aimed to do these days. I don't think there's much vitality in any food, I think we're just barely surviving. Our bodies are running really on empty, Yeah,
well, it's just filling it up then as best you can, and lighting, doing the things we can to help ourselves. So lighting is something we can all control. And if you don't sleep well, if you start going to a red light or a Himalayan pink salt lamp, candlelight for the hour or two before bed, put your phone down, turn it off, shut your laptop, read a book, talk to your partner, pat your pet, whatever. But don't look at a light, don't look at a screen. You'll sleep so much better. If you've got a LED light outside your window, get a blackout blind. and cover your window, and you will sleep so much better, because these LED lights, they are programmed to tell our brain to wake up.
Do you mean the street lights?
Yeah, even when our eyes are shut, we've got things in our eyes called cones and rods. And even a blind person, you can tell by a blind person's hormones that they can sense the light from lights. So when we've got our eyes shut, even with the curtain shut, that light is so bright, it's coming through, and it's telling your brain all night, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up.
So the normal lights wouldn't get through the curtain in the same way? Is that what you
Sorry?
mean? So the normal lights wouldn't get through the curtain in the same way?
They're a different frequency, they're a different color, there's different everything about these LED lights. But LED lights in particular, they're just so bad for our brain, and they're very, very blue. And it's the blue frequency, or the blue color tells us to wake up, because the sky's blue.
Interesting. I know that basically the frequency rate of them is very bad for us,
And they strobe. They're always.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
If you film them on slow-mo, you'll see that your light's flashing.
Yeah, that's affecting our brain in a very bad way.
Well, what it does is it affects our decision quota. So you're picking all. I've not spoken about this stuff for ages, but it's all so important and so interesting. We only have a certain quota of decisions to make a day. So the more tired we are, the less decisions we'll have. Okay, so if you have like a routine where you get up and you decide in the morning, right, what am I going to wear, and how am I going to do my hair, and what makeup will I put on today, and what am I going to have for breakfast? You've maybe made 10 decisions before you've even opened your phone or opened your curtains. If you've got an automatic routine where you get up, your clothes are there from the night before, you get up, you put them on, you brush your teeth, you've made no decisions. By the time you get to breakfast, you've then got those 10 decisions in hand for the end of the day, essentially.
Okay.
But if you get on and put on these halogen lights, they're not the halogen, the LED lights with the flicker, they start to make our brain tired straight away. This flicker, it's making our brain tired, and it's taking away our decisions. And the worst thing about losing all your decisions is that if you maybe open your fridge and you've got a bar of chocolate in the front, every time you open the fridge, you have to go, no, I'm not going to eat that bar of chocolate right now. I'm going to have something healthy. Right?
It's hard.
So you've got flickery lights, and you're looking at your laptop, and you've got maybe a drip on the tap, a noise that's happening outside, like a gate banging. All these things are making our brain go, what's that? What's that? Because technically, we've got an ancient brain which was supposed to look out for lions and tigers and bears coming to attack us so we can run away.
Oh my.
So exactly. So our brain's still going, your gate just went, that could be a bear.
Yeah. Yeah, fight or flight, basically.
And it's taking
fight or flight instinct, isn't it? It's like the reptilian brain.
Yeah, that's it. And you've got your Labrador brain that's going, food, food. And it's like, no, I'm not tired yet. Labrador, go and lie down. I'm going to have a glass of water. The thing bangs, the light flickers. It's 2:00. You've made 5 decisions before breakfast. You open the door, the chocolate's there. Labrador brain goes, chocolate. Your decision quota's run out, and then that's when you reach for the chocolate, and that's when you do the thing you don't want to do, for example.
Yeah.
Or you decide to partake in a thing that you don't want to do, like an addiction. So you maybe want to not have a beer that night. But if you've used all your decisions by 5:00 and you're tired, oh fuck it, I'll just have a beer. Do you know, it's just one beer. This has been designed. You know, we're a society of addicts.
We are very much so, and even Facebook designs social media to give you wee doses of serotonin to keep that addiction, into the technology. So it's used in many different ways. But at the start of this so-called pandemic.
Sorry?
So I'm just going to ask you this. At the start of this so-called pandemic, when I seen the Wuhan thing and people falling down it looked like 5G to me. I got Mark Steele from Save Us Now to come on the show, and he talked about the LED lampposts, and he said that they were a directed military weapon that actually can target people with technology. Are you aware of any of that?
Time will tell. Time will tell. I don't know because I can't see it and I can't touch it. I've seen videos.
Okay, I was just wondering. He's opened it up and had a look. Yeah, but you're not talking from personal experience. You've probably seen the same videos.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I saw a video of a vet saying that her COVID vaccination came up on the pet microchip ID thing. So I phoned a vet that I know and I asked her to do it, and she went, "No, none of them are showing up."
Yeah.
So people are doing things and making videos that are making everyone think all sorts of things. Unless I can see it and touch it and test it myself.
Yeah, I like that philosophy because there's so many truthers out there that are getting fooled by, let's say, Dr. Malone and Joe Rogan or Mike Eden or various other so-called truthers, and people, these guys are great, but they're actually just getting led a merry dance because they haven't took the time to properly research stuff. So it's good to only talk about stuff that you're actually quite well versed in and not try and make false claims,
I think it's part of the path. I know that you might very well know, Billy, that I might also have had my little moment maybe a few months ago where I felt like it was my job to go, this person's that and that person's that. But do you know what?
I don't know. Would you like to get into this? What happened?
I might have verbalized my opinions on some people.
I've done it myself a few times, and at the end of the day,
I shouldn't have done it at the time, but I've learned my lesson. And you know what? People will show themselves up for who they are, and the more we focus externally on what other people are or aren't doing, the more we are not focusing on what we can be doing.
Yeah, that's why I don't get into Facebook fights and all that stuff, because there's more important things they need to be doing, and I don't actually enter in debates that much in Facebook because it's just a waste of time. There's better things to be getting on with. It can be used for some things. Like this is quite useful. We can communicate directly, but a lot of it's just you're wasting your time fighting with people instead of making something useful. Now, I was going to talk about the protests here because we obviously met a couple of protests, and I see you're part of Freedom Alliance on your Facebook. Are you part of a party, or do you represent anything apart from yourself, or what's your view on the marches? Do you support them? And what do you see is going on just now, and what do you think is the direction to take that in?
Well, I stood for Freedom Alliance in the elections last year. I was asked about 3 weeks before, and I went, "Oh, do you know what? Why not?" And
okay,
it was interesting. It was interesting to see how it all worked. I'm not going to stand for Freedom Alliance again. I have something else that might be coming up at some point in the future. But I'm thinking that we need to get in some way to change it. And there's talk of NGOs are a good way to go. So because NGOs can have some power in the old parliamentary arena. So I don't know if standing for election exactly is the way I would go again, personally. But it is what it is. I think they all have their own thing. Marches wise, again, I don't think we should be going to marches, and I've been persecuted and supported for this view in the past. All the research that I'm seeing, all the really, really good research that makes total sense. You can see it yourself. You can add it all up yourself. It all comes from knowing the Hebrew and the Hebraic way of speaking and understanding words better. A little bit like what we spoke about earlier with citizen.
Well, spelling is putting everybody under a spell.
Yeah, it's spelling, and we do things. Everything is spelling. It's all spelling. It's all spell casting, and all the cities are set up in certain ways to harness the energy of the people who are in the grid. And so if we are marching in their grid, we are giving them our power. And most people I speak to feel knackered after a day at these marches. And that's because they're taking our power. All the buildings are set up to pull stuff out of us and to take that passion that we are giving out and use it against us. So I want to pull people out of the cities, onto ley lines, onto important areas, but we just haven't quite figured out how, which is why I've not come out going, do this, do this, do this. But we're all working to try and figure out how. But with the marches, I will be there because I go as a legal... my brain's just gone empty.
Advisor?
That's it. They're not an advisor, no. No, we go and we basically watch the police. It's with Police Scotland Angels. So we go and we watch the police and we help people who maybe need some advice that are having a problem with the police. We walk about and we give them leaflets saying to them, don't interact, because we all have the power to walk away from the police. But so many people don't know that. As soon as you interact, you risk getting joined or you risk the contract.
So basically, this is what you know the law. So when you go to these marches, you're actually protesting your own slave masters. You're saying that I'm begging you for my own freedom, and you're giving your authority away right there, instead of understanding that you're sovereign. And if somebody tramples on your rights, you can then hold them accountable. And I believe, did you not go through a small claims and get a victory when somebody tried to?
Yeah. Thanks again. Thanks to one of the girls in Police Scotland Angels. She actually pushed me into doing it. I did a small claims against a feed company because they'd been arseholes for months. They were, every time I was in, they'd be like, someone up with a mask, right up against the plastic. Then I'd walk up and this girl would be like, stand behind the light. You've got your protective plastic. Come on now. I got to a place where they told me one day, I went in with a friend and they went, one of you has to stand outside while the other one shops. And I was like, fuck you right up the arse. I'm out. Phoned the company several times to eventually be told that it was the owner that wasn't calling me back. And I went, right, did a small claim, £397 and £103 to register the claim. And then I got an email going, they've accepted your claim, tell them how to pay you. I was like, sweet.
Right.
So I've done fun. Never stop. I've now gone for the maximum small claim fee, which is £5,000, just to test the system because somebody has to, against a supermarket that will currently remain nameless, for telling me that they weren't going to allow me in next time if I didn't come with a mask.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens, and I'm just doing it so I can feed back to other people what power they have. But to me, it's more about the action because we can get them to change the policy.
Well, the policy doesn't apply to us if you've not signed the contract.
Yeah, but
it
doesn't stop them doing it to everybody else.
But if you hold them accountable, then it might teach them a lesson.
Yeah, so we can hold them accountable and we can say, right, well, if your thing was that you asked me about a mask and you overstepped, I want you to never ask anyone about a mask, and I want you also to not ask about COVID passports if they're brought in.
Yep.
Because it's all the same shit.
Well, basically, I was supposed to do a gig on Sunday night, and the guy who was organising it beforehand told me I had to bring a lateral flow test, and I says, I'm not doing a medical thing just to have freedom of speech. And he says, well, you're not coming on my stage. So I contacted the owners, and they said that they were on my side. It was him that chose to do that himself because he just rented the room. So I don't really want to sue the owners now because they're cool, but I still have to hold that guy accountable. And I'm looking for a remedy.
Accountable as the organizer of the evening.
Yeah, I'm looking for a remedy that's going to basically set an example so that I can say to other comedians, you don't need to take a lateral flow test if you know your rights. Here, that I've done that, and only by each of us doing that, when you do get trespassed on and not letting it lie, and not just saying, "Oh well, I'll no go there." Like I've just seen on a website there, Jesus and Mary chain. The guy Noel is watching this. He was due to see them as well with me 3 days before the lockdown. No, 3 days after the lockdown, we were due to see Jesus and Mary chain at the Barrowlands, and it got cancelled. And they've done a rescheduled gig recently, and I couldn't go because I never had the COVID shit, or at least I thought. It pissed me off quite a lot, you know, how we're. So I really should have turned up there. And actually, I interviewed Pete Stone, and he says if you can still buy tickets for concerts. All you do is you send a letter in advance and say, look, I'm coming here, and you better not ask me for shit, or I'll hold you accountable. And just to let them know. So you have to make it a wee bit harder, but hopefully the scam is coming out, and these COVID passports are going to die a sad death, you know, because I think they would have been in by now if they had enough people buying the bullshit, you know.
Yeah, I was up in court a couple of weeks ago, and I said I wasn't going to track and trace, because I was like, do you know what? What's the worst thing they're going to do? Not let me into court.
What happened?
The guy was like that. You have to. I was like, no, I don't. It's a guideline. Stop being difficult and just do it. I was like, no, I'm not giving you personal details. And they went, fine. Oh, just go in then.
You know, all these mini Hitlers that have turned up, you know, trying to make you go along with policy that you didn't sign a mandate to agree to. You know, it's governed by consent and all these things, even police speeding fines. When you sign it, you're creating your own fine, basically.
Well, mandatory, and part of mandatory in the Black's Law Dictionary is that it's a preemptive. It's to do with being preemptive to getting people to comply with things.
Okay.
There's a wee blurb at the bottom of the definition that goes, it would be this, and it's about preemptory and getting people to comply with an order or a command.
Again, they put it all out there. It's all in plain sight for those with eyes to see and ears to hear, you know?
Yes, it's mad. It's mad. So, yeah. I got another one with it's never ending. It's fear-based. I've been in this fight loads, never been asked about a mask, but because 2 people have been ill with COVID, this girl's so much in fear, she can't even say hello before she's going, have you got a mask?
Yeah. That's the energy that they're wanting. That's the frequency that the demons or whatever is feeding off.
Yes. We've got to change it.
Yeah, and we have to rip the masks off because we're definitely vibrating at a lower frequency. You know, people are miserable with these things on. It's just, I'd find it desperately sad when I'm walking around and seeing it's like a ghost town and these, you know, shells of human beings walking around not looking at each other and smiling. You know, what happened to joy? Basically, we take life way too seriously, you know. Why can't people just have a laugh? Obviously,
because it all spreads as well. Like if you muscle test somebody who smiles at you, your muscle will be strong. Then you muscle test someone and someone's frowning at them, their muscle will be weak. So I bet you when you cover the mouth, it'll either switch it around or it'll make it go weak. But we need that. This is part of it. This part of our face is the most important part. Otherwise, you can't tell what people are doing.
Yeah, no, it's all, again, how we communicate. It's very, very important. Imagine children growing up, they're not getting a chance to, like, get a proper impression of facial expression and stuff like that. That must be really, really damaging. You know, as you get older, you judge people.
You want to touch their granny's face or something. I bet you've got some grannies that are like, no, don't touch my face, don't touch my face.
It's very, very sad. So do you have a website or something like that, or do you, a business that people can contact you? What is your, how would you describe your business and what can you do for people?
It's called Painless Sports Therapy and Painless Equestrian Therapy because, as I said, it was focusing on horses more before. But I like to help the people who have run out of options. Like, I like to help everyone else as well, but I really like to help people who have run out of options and the doctors have kind of written them off and left them, especially if it's come from like an accident or a specific emotional trauma where they know, like, I just know it came from there, but I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
That's where I can really help people. But also, you know, I've been having some amazing sessions with people with things like energy vampires. And you know when you meet someone and you're with them and afterwards you're just drained.
Yeah.
It's because they're stealing your energy. There's so much that we don't see going on, and you can stop it. We need help to stop it and to learn to stop it, but we can stop it happening.
There was a movie back in the day called Celestine Prophecy that was kind of all about that kind of people's, trying to steal energy from each other.
Yeah, it's a real thing. It is, and there's just so many. Even the other day at the vet thing, I felt her do it. I had really sore shoulders afterwards because when you get a knife in your back, that's a real thing. It's an energetic thing. Someone can put a knife in your back. They can throw you a dagger. Look, and you can pull them out. You can energetically pull them out, and it's like the range of motion of the shoulder all changes, and the pain changes. It's mad.
So how many clients do you get a week? Do you cure a lot of people? Are you seeing a lot of radical changes in the people that you do see?
That's the thing is I don't often see people a lot because the way I work is I work to find the root cause, and I challenge it and I challenge it and I challenge it because I don't want it to come back. I went through so many years going to the physio for the same thing that if I see someone a second time, I want it to be for the next thing they want to do.
Yeah.
Right, now my back's sore, or now my neck's been hurting me.
Yeah.
But
that's what doctors don't do, don't they? Doctors just give you a prescription and endless prescriptions, So they're just symptoms. Yeah.
See, it's really hard working with somebody who's been taking medication long term because it changes them neurologically. It messes with their brain.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially these psychoactive drugs that people are taking.
Yeah, oh, definitely. But also I've got, see the small claim stuff. There's a Telegram channel for the small claim stuff. It's t.me/small claims. Okay. And on there we've got it's a letter for the businesses, and I've got thousands of these printed out. So if anybody wants, just drop me a message and I can send you some, or I can send you the template, or you can go onto the Telegram and you can get the blurb and the letter. And I've even done a wee spreadsheet. So if you get a group of people involved, you can put the businesses you've been to, when you went to them, and then people can go back and revisit them, because that's the idea, is follow it up and see, have they discriminated? Now they know.
Yeah, that's good, huh? Very good. So I like that. It's good practical stuff there for people to get more empowered and to stop the tyranny that's getting imposed upon us slowly but surely.
You do it to a few businesses and they start talking. All these businesses are in clubs and B&I and all this stuff, so they all talk.
That's true. So,
yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to say to kind of wrap up, and anything you think we've not touched on you want to put out?
I would just encourage everybody to do research, to look at stuff. There's so much out there, but don't expect it to just come to you. You have to go and learn stuff, because it's the only way to become empowered and to be able to stand up when you're in the situation of somebody challenging you. If you can stand up and go, you're violating Article 6 and 8 of the Human Rights Act 1998, people go, oh my God, she just said the Human Rights Act 1998. And it's not much you have to know, but once you become empowered, you want to know more, because you can make a bigger stand to people and you can get your message across so much better.
Because you're also involved in the Police Angels website.
Police Scotland Angels.
Scotland Angels. So what's that? PoliceScotlandAngels.com? Yes,
PoliceScotlandAngels.org is what it is. And they've got some amazing stuff up there. They've got loads of legal letters. They've got cards that they've got done for if someone was to arrive on your door to vaccinate you, for example. They've got cards you can have, and you give one also to someone else so they can have one of your cards. They've got good cards that you can give to the police. So the idea is that if you have to interact with the police, don't say a word. You can give them a card with your name, your address, your date of birth on it, and on the back, your lawyer's name and number. And if you need a lawyer, we've got a great one in Edinburgh. And you just give it to them. you don't have to say anything, so you don't create joinder, because the contract, the joinder is created when you say your name and your date of birth. So
That's
you
correct.
that with your card.
I had a guy on before. His name was Sean, and he's famous for the bus. The driver talking to the police, and he would write it down and show them through the window. You know. So
that's I won't. I don't. Yeah, my whole interaction with police has changed now.
yeah. Well, Mandy, it's been a really pleasure having you on the show. Thanks for coming on. And
Thank you for having me.
if you want to just hang around, I'll have a wee chat afterwards. And to everyone else, thanks very much for watching. I'm on again tomorrow night at 7 o'clock with Jeanette Archer, so I'll be back then. In the meantime, have a good evening. Cheers.
Cheers.
Well done.
A bit slow there.